They came seeking human slaves. Instead, found their grave's commander. Zara stood tall on the bridge of her warship, watching Earth grow larger through the viewing screen. Her purple skin gleamed under the ship lights as she smiled with sharp teeth. Behind her, dozens of other alien women prepared their weapons and slave chains. "Such a primitive world," said Captain Lyra, her second in command. "These humans will make perfect workers for our mines." The Vexari Empire had conquered 43 worlds in the past century. Every time, the same pattern played out. They would arrive with overwhelming force, capture the strongest beings, and turn them into slaves. The weak would die. The strong would serve. "Look at their tiny ships," laughed Lieutenant Neva, pointing at Earth's space stations. "They barely reached their own moon. This will be easier than taking candy from a child." Zara nodded. Intelligence reports showed humans as soft, emotional creatures who spent their time fighting each other instead of preparing for real threats. Their weapons were crude metal projectiles. Their technology was centuries behind Vexari standards. "Begin the invasion," Zara commanded. 30 Vexari warships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Each ship was the size of a city block and armed with plasma cannons that could melt mountains. The first target was New York City, where millions of potential slaves lived packed together, but something went wrong immediately. The moment the lead ships entered the lower atmosphere, streaks of light shot up from the ground. Not the simple rockets Vexari intelligence had predicted, but something else entirely. The first ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the sky for miles. "What was that?" screamed Captain Lyra as more streaks of light rose from the surface. "Impossible," Zara muttered, watching 2 more warships vanish in brilliant explosions. Their technology level cannot support such weapons. On Earth's surface, President Lisa Monroe stood in the White House Situation Room, watching the alien ships burn in the sky. Around her, generals and advisors tracked the battle on massive screens. "Operation Homecoming is proceeding as planned, Madam President," said General Katie Adams. "All orbital defense platforms are online and firing. For 50 years, humanity had been preparing for this day. Not because they knew aliens were coming, but because they knew someone eventually would." While the Vexari Empire was busy conquering primitive worlds, humanity had been building the most advanced military force in the galaxy without even knowing it. The secret was human paranoia and creativity. Where other species developed weapons to fight wars they were already fighting, humans developed weapons to fight wars that might never happen. They built defenses against enemies that did not exist yet. They planned for scenarios their leaders called impossible, but their military called inevitable. Back in space, Commander Zara watched her invasion fleet crumble. Half her ships were gone, destroyed by weapons that should not exist. The remaining vessels were taking heavy fire from hidden installations across the planet's surface. "Commander," called Communications Officer Vera, her voice shaking with fear. "We are receiving a transmission from the planet." "Put it on screen." A human woman appeared on the viewing screen. She wore a simple business suit and stood behind a wooden podium. Her name was Dr. Amy Carter, and she was Earth's first alien contact specialist. "Welcome to Earth," Dr. Carter said with a slight smile. "I assume you came here expecting to find primitive savages with sticks and stones." Zara said nothing, but her hands clenched into fists. "You are not the first species to make that mistake," Dr. Carter continued, "though you might be the last. You see, humans have spent the last century preparing for visitors like you. We call it the Fermi Paradox solution." "What does that mean?" Zara demanded. "It means we asked ourselves a very simple question. If the universe is full of intelligent life, why has nobody visited Earth yet? We came up with 2 possible answers. Either we are alone, or something very bad happens to species that reveal themselves too early." Dr. Carter gestured to something off-screen, and the view changed to show burning Vexari ships falling into the ocean. "We decided to prepare for option 2. Lieutenant Neva ran to Zara's side, her face pale with panic. "Commander, we are picking up massive energy signatures from the dark side of their moon, multiple installations, weapons we cannot identify. And that is just our backup system," Dr. Carter said pleasantly. The primary defense grid is based on technology your empire helped us develop. What do you mean? Zara whispered. Every species you have conquered in the past 100 years eventually found ways to send messages into space before they died. Warnings about your empire, technical specifications for your ships, details about your weapons and tactics. We have been collecting those messages for decades. Dr. Carter pulled out a thick folder and placed it on the podium. Did you know the Zentaurians developed a perfect counter to your plasma cannons before you exterminated them? Or that the Kalari created shields that make your ship's armor look like paper? We combined the best defensive technologies from 43 different species and added a few improvements of our own. The remaining Vexari ships tried to retreat, but found their path blocked by human vessels that had seemed empty just moments before. These were not the crude metal ships the aliens expected, but sleek craft that moved like living things and bristled with weapons borrowed from every corner of the galaxy. Surrender now and we will allow your crews to live as prisoners of war, Dr. Carter announced. Continue fighting and we will do to your empire what your empire did to the Zentaurians, the Kalari, and everyone else. Commander Zara looked around her bridge at the terrified faces of her crew. Through the viewing screen, she could see Earth's cities lighting up the night as millions of humans went about their normal lives, completely unbothered by the space battle happening above their heads. That was when she realized the truth. This was not humanity's full strength. This was just their planetary defense system, probably automated and routine. The real human military was somewhere else entirely, doing things she could not even imagine. We surrender, Zara said quietly. Excellent choice, Dr. Carter replied. Please prepare to be boarded by our security teams. They will escort you to processing facilities where you will be debriefed, tried for crimes against sentient species, and assigned to appropriate rehabilitation programs. As Zara watched human boarding craft approach her ship, she thought about all the species her empire had destroyed, all the warnings they had sent into the void, all the desperate final messages that humanity had been collecting and learning from. The Vexari Empire had spent centuries creating the perfect enemy for themselves. They had forged humanity in the fire of other species' deaths, turning Earth into a fortress world, armed with the combined knowledge of everyone they had murdered. Now, that enemy was coming for them, and there was nowhere in the galaxy left to run.